A contractor's journey to self-mastery requires discipline, integrity, and respect. Welcome to Hammer and Grind.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Brad Hebner, and I'm here with my co-host, Eric Triplett, and welcome to Hammer and Grind, a podcast built for contractors, real contractors, true stories, real solutions. Hey, if this is your first time here, do us a favor, leave us a review, share it with another contractor. We want to get the word out and help as many as we can. You can join us on our free Facebook group where you can interact with other like-minded contractors. That's called the Contractor Profit Group. Check us out on Facebook. Or if you want to shortcut your success, invest in yourself by signing up for our paid coaching group called the Profit Club. We talk about three things in there: the profit sales system, marketing, and KPIs. These are all important aspects if you want to put more profit in your business. You can find out more information about that at hammerandgrind.com/the Profit Club. Today, we're going to be talking about auditing your sales process. Have you ever taken a look at your sales process from an objective position and seen how it works? Does it need to be tweaked? Does it need help? This is what we're going to be talking about today. Eric.
So I remember I used to think I was a really good salesman, and I didn't even know how to audit myself or gauge it or anything like that, right? And then a book here, a podcast there, some training, coaching, that kind of stuff. It gets you to like a little bit more self-awareness. So I think a lot of contractors have no idea how to audit their sales experience and their sales process and all that stuff. So it's my goal for us to try and figure out how to help people audit. Because if we can show them where they're doing poorly, then they go, oh, maybe I need some help, right? They don't even know it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I was 9 years in. I thought I was a good salesman. And then I started getting some real sales training and realized that I was not a very good salesman. I mean, I'm a very trustworthy person. And so if I get in front of people, I tend to, close deals. But what I also realized was that I wasn't charging enough. So it's easy to be a good salesman when you don't charge enough. When you're the cheapest guy out of 3 or 5 and they trust you the most, that's an easy sell.
Yeah.
Right? Like all day long, you could do that. But once you start raising your prices and now you're the most expensive guy out of 3 or 5, you have to be a little bit better at your sales game.
A lot better, I would argue. You're right.
Well, yeah, a lot better for sure.
Yeah.
So why don't you share, Eric, why we're talking about this today and kind of what the experience we've had just literally in the past week?
So this may come as no surprise to a lot of you. Brad and I have been fighting about something for the past 8 months, right?
Yeah. Probably.
Okay. Yeah. 8 months.
What is it?
So we talked about getting a TikTok page going for Hammer and Grind. And so it's timing for me mentally to get into it. So I'm just going to throw some excuses out there. But anyways, we kicked off our TikTok channel about, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe. It hasn't been that long, just a couple weeks. And I was trying to figure out like a sense. There's so much nonsense on TikTok, right? There's so much noise. And so I was trying to come up with a way to like at least get maybe a series going or something like that so people would want to come back and listen and talk more. So I started thinking about American Idol. I think we talked about it on the podcast one time. That was probably what stimulated it. But, these singers come on and they think they're amazing singers and the judges are like, you suck. You should probably just quit. Don't ever go get your money back for your lessons. And I started to think about that. I was like, a lot of contractors think they're great sales people. And so I kind of took that concept and ran with it on a TikTok feed and we got quite a lot of traction.
Well, yeah, but what the series that got a lot of traction was on You Probably Suck at Sales If, right? And so you started asking serious parts of questions.
But that one TikTok that I did was the kickoff of it. It's like, what if you suck at sales and you don't even know it?
Sure.
And then I kind of explained that as the foundation of what if you suck at sales, you don't know it, you think you're a great singer, and then Simon Cowell says you suck, don't ever do it again. So then I started just doing these little one-offs, like you might suck at sales if you rely on the word free. And then, what you have the other ones written down. You want to just talk about those and then we can dig into them or what?
Yeah. I got them written down here. I can just go through them real quick and then we'll hit on each one. So we had free. If you use the word free in your marketing or in your sales, if you negotiate against yourself, if you talk too much whenever you're talking with the prospect, if you don't have all the decision makers present whenever you're talking or when you go out to look at the job, if you ask your prospects for their budget. And then lastly, we had on here was if you talk poorly about your competition. Now, clearly, these are not all the things that you could do wrong. There's dozens and dozens of things that you could do wrong in your sales process. But these are the ones that we did, or I should say you did TikToks on, and we got quite a bit of response. Some of it was actually, we thought we were going to get a lot more hate from it, but we actually got a lot more people agreeing with you, which was kind of shocking, Eric.
Yeah, that's what kind of blew me away. The ones that he just mentioned, those are all little like 1 minute clips. I got 1 minute to try and give a little audit on why using the word free could mean that you suck. I'm not saying everybody sucks. I'm saying, but if you lean on the word free for that, it probably means you suck. So we went down the line. Even one of them is like a 15-second thing. How do you explain to someone in 15 seconds if they talk poorly about their competition, right? So these are little 1 minute clips they're like little audit. Like push this button, audit yourself. Push the next one, audit yourself. Do you do these things? If you do, there's a chance you suck at sales and you need some help.
Yeah. So let's start with free. This is huge in construction, right? Free estimates. I see them on the side of trucks, on their website. Free estimates. Every time I see that, I want to punch myself in the face because it drives me nuts. But what's wrong with the word free? Why can't you use the word free?
Well, I mean, this could go kind of deep, but here's the thing. When you're using free in your marketing and advertising and your phone's ringing, you think like, all of a sudden you have this false sense of like, hey, I'm really good. My phone's ringing like crazy. But all of a sudden you're running around town. You're missing your kids' games. You're missing important moments with your family and your spouse. Your own hobbies go away. All of a sudden you don't have time to go to the gym anymore. You start getting fat. But in their mind, they're like, oh my God, I'm so busy. I'm running around town. And especially the problem is if they are inexpensive, then they're going to get a lot of work. And then they think they're busy, but they can't afford to really run their business sustainably.
Dude, if you're free, who wouldn't take advantage of that, right? If I'm going to get a remodel done and I'm looking for some contractors and I call one and he wants to charge me $500 to come out and I see another one and he gives me a free estimate, why wouldn't I want to call the free guy? I mean, it doesn't cost me anything.
Right.
So when you do that, you're basically training your customers that you don't value your own time.
I want to play the devil's advocate because that's what I thought we would get on TikTok. I thought we were going to get a lot of people going, no, we had a couple of people say, oh, well, I know $1 million roof companies that, do free. Like, okay, here we go. So, but you know what? I guess you could use the word free in a campaign or something like that. But the problem is most contractors just use the word free and then they don't have any pre-qualifying questions or phone calls or anything like that. It's just free. Get an address, run out there. If you use the word free and you have pre-qualifying, process in your sales process, then maybe it's not bad.
Sure. I mean, like you said, if you have a qualifying, I mean, we do free estimates, but we do them over the phone, right? Free budgets, if you will. I mean, that's how we do that, but we don't market it as free. The thing is that I've always been told, and I don't remember where I saw this, but you should never do coupons because people who use coupons are people who look for deals and they're only using you because they're getting a deal. Now, some people may argue and say, well, it still work. If I'm charging my normal rates and I'm getting my normal price and I do a coupon, why does it matter? And we could argue that, and there's some validity there, and I'm not going to get into it. But overall, when you discount, you're going to get people who look for discounts. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think too many people that drive Ferraris and want nice things are using coupons. So what kind of client do you want, right?
Exactly. So that's why we said you probably shouldn't use free. And listen, I already know what's going to happen. There's always exceptions to everything, right? But what happens is people want to think they're the exception. Everyone believes that they're the exception to the rule. And the reality is most of you are not the exception. So don't hang your hat on that. Yeah. But I did a free thing one time and I got 10 customers and that's great. That's not what happens across the board. So don't hang your hat on that. You're not the exception. Trust me. Eric might be the exception. That's just because of his looks, but you're not
Hey,
the
I'm
exception.
getting old. I can't get by on my good looks forever, bro.
Number 2, negotiate with yourself. Now this one blew up big time, right? If you negotiate with yourself.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain that a little bit?
This one kind of shocked me that people really dug into this one, because I basically said, if you need $10,000 to get the job done, if that's what you need to run a sustainable business and profitable, and you're getting ready to pitch the number to the client, you start to negotiate with yourself. And I'm sure we've talked about it on the podcast before, but all of a sudden you're like, man, I don't know, 10,000 is a lot of money. Maybe 95 sounds better than 10,000. I think maybe 95 is their budget, but I'm not really sure. So, I'm just going to tell them 8,900. Actually, 8,900 is like 8,000, not 10,000. That's the number I'm going to give them. And they pitch that number. And then they literally talk themselves out of $1,100 or, these numbers are arbitrary, but they talk themselves down. That's bottom line money in their pocket money that they just took off the job. And they don't even know if the client is willing to pay the $10,000 or not. Like, why not we just have that conversation first? This one was cool. This one was a real eye opener, because so many people were like, I do this all the time. I had no idea. Oh my gosh, I need to stop doing that.
Yeah, I was actually shocked at the number of people that were like, yeah, why do I feel attacked? And this is me. And, how can I stop doing this? So I think this one is if I had to guess, this one is probably the number one thing that most contractors do that costs them the most profit, besides not knowing what they should charge, right? But if they do know what they should charge, they negotiate against themselves. And literally every job, they're cheating themselves out of money.
You're probably right. Again, like always. But no, seriously, like if they're taking money off, that's their profit. I mean, they're taking the money from their profit. And even worse, sometimes they start to cut corners and they use, inferior products, that ruins the integrity of their business, because they're like, hey, when no one's looking, I'm just going to use this product instead of that. It's like, it gets gross, you know what I mean? So, but more often than not, they're stripping from their pockets, because I do believe that a lot of these contractors, they want to be craftsmen. They want to deliver really cool work. They want to put art pieces and all this stuff. So there are some shady ones that'll like, well, I'll just use shitty product, but you're right.
I think the overwhelming, there's exceptions, but I think most contractors who are craftsmen, for them, an ideal job would be like, hey, we want this thing done and we don't care what it costs. Take as long as you need, do it the right way. And like, then the contractor is like, I can make this perfect. I can spend more time. I'm not pressured by time or money or any of this stuff. Like, that would be the ideal situation to work in, correct? But like, we had one person comment, he goes, yeah, my dad does this all the time. And then the whole time we're working on the job, he's complaining that we got to hurry up because we're not going to make any money. And that's the story of like almost every contractor and every comment that's on there.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. And it's crazy because, there's like 1,500 comments. It's like, it's not even, you can't even keep up with them. I mean, I could wake up at 2 a.m. and answer comments for 2 hours and not even touch it. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
So that's why we, negotiate against yourself. And here's the thing too, Eric. It might be a $10,000 project. You sell for $8,900. The customer was expecting it to be $12,000.
They'll never know. They'll never know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, $8,900. That's a great deal.
That's cool. And then the contractor's like, I knew it. Cool. 89 was their number. I'm so smart. The customer's not going to say, well, I thought it was going to be 12. So that's cool. Let's go. And then you're like, oh, well, wait, I meant 10. Like, how do you rebound from that? How do you recover?
And here's what happens too. Especially if it's like a fixed type of job where it's like the same job every time. What are they going to tell their friends? Right? Oh yeah. We had 3 other contractors come out. One was 15, one was 12. And then this guy did it for $8,900, did an awesome job. Now he's going to tell all his buddies, you're going to get 5 new referrals from them. And now you got 5 jobs where people want you to do it for $8,900.
That you're basically not making enough money on.
Right.
One of the comments that I had, I'm having conversations with some of these people there that turned out to be very, cool. And I'm checking out their pages, and there's a lot of contractors doing good work out there. That was really fun for me to see. But one guy's like, hey, I'm just getting started. I just got my contractor's license. I'm really frugal. I think I can come in, lower than a lot of contractors to get the work. And I'm like, bro, like a frugal mindset is not how you want to be an estimator. You don't want to estimate for people. Like your clients hopefully are not frugal, but if you come in frugal, like you're gonna lose money. This is not a good place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next one was talking too much, and I mean there's some good information here, but basically what we do is we want to go on either whether it's on the phone or in person. We just start puking at the mouth, right? We just start puking all over our customers. I'm great. I've been doing this for so long, and I'm all these awards and blah 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 blah. Like we've said before, grandma's wisdom, there's 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So, when you talk too much, you basically are shooting yourself in the foot.
I think that's why that particular TikTok did so well, because I talked about my grandma.
Yeah, I think you stole that from me, actually.
Well, all the grandmas that back in the day said that. That was like the common, that was the thing they said.
No, you're right. I think I brought it up one time and then you stole it from me. That's all right, though. I got a copyright on it. You'll get a letter from my lawyer.
Oh, shit. What's the next one?
The next one was decision makers. Going out and looking at a job and they're like, oh, yeah, it sounds great. Now I just got to talk to my wife. Like, that's the worst.
I know. And it's funny, Brad, because it seems so commonplace in our inner circle when we're working with our members and stuff like that, and we're doing role plays and stuff. It seems so like common. It seems so normal, right? But I think so many contractors have no idea how to make that happen. I know I got stuck with that all the time. I told the story about that one time where I was like, I totally got this job. The husband and I were like, boom, your waterfall's going to be sick. You're going to get koi fish. And while we're talking about it, the wife rolls up and she's like, who's this? She's all pissed and shit. I'm like, whoa, this lady's crazy. Who's this? It's like, it's the pond guy. She's like, we're not getting a pond until I get this kitchen done. And I'm like, oh, he's like, sorry, bro, you got to go. And I'm like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah, I mean, that's how many times you get caught in someone's like wishful thinking, right? Like the wife wants a new kitchen and she says, can we get a new kitchen? And the husband's like, well, get some estimates and we'll see where the price is at and then we'll talk about it. Right. And then you go out there and you meet with the wife and you spend like 6 hours doing an estimate and all that stuff. And then you give them a price and the husband's like, yeah, there's no way. There's no way we're doing that.
In one of the comments on that particular one, I don't know if you caught that one, but the guy's like, oh yeah, well, I just did a consult with the lady and she said, that's awesome. No problem. I'm going to call my husband and I'll get you a check tonight when I get home. And I'm like, well, you let me know when you get that check, bro. Like, why don't you post a comment once you got the money?
I haven't seen that one. I'll have to go look for it. Need to have take my Hope Island video and play it for them.
No kidding.
Next one was asking about budget, right? If you ask your prospect what their budget is, you probably suck at sales.
Yeah, this one's a little controversial, I think, because I don't want to say controversial necessarily, but it's a little edgy because there's a lot of people. This is touching more than just contractors. We're getting homeowners that are seeing these videos and they're going like, "That's why I get 22 bids. I want to make sure I don't get ripped by some cheap ass contractors." Right?
I saw the lady was like, "Can you tell us how to respectfully, ask the contractor for a cheaper price or something like that?"
yeah, we're getting crazy stuff like that. Which one are we on? I got lost there.
The asking for budget.
Oh, asking for budget. Yeah, because, so many people are trained, like everyone's bought a car before, right? But not everyone's bought a kitchen remodel or a landscape or, a bathroom remodel or whatever, roofing. And so a lot of times, car salesmen are like, hey, what's your budget? How much do you want to spend a month? And so I think that's commonplace in a sales environment. So people kind of are stuck on that. What Brad and I are teaching all the time is to be like, hey, just figure out what the people want and then share with them what it's going to cost to fulfill that dream. And, give them a kind of a range. It could go really crazy, or if we were smart, we could have this number, And we share some numbers and then they usually give us the budget. But so many contractors are getting in there like going, I actually got that from a comment from someone else in one of our TikToks. Like, I just ask for a budget, bro. That's all I do. I win every time.
Yeah. I like the ones that are like, I win 99% of my bids. I'm like, I can guarantee you're too cheap. I can guarantee it.
Yeah. Well, these
Unless
are the audits. This is the auditing you need to do.
Yeah. But unless you have unless you're the only one that does that thing, and it's high demand. But the thing about asking for budget is that you can ask for budgets. Like you can legitimately ask for budgets and get a budget and sell the job. Like, so it is a little tricky because it's not, if you ask for a budget, then you've ruined the sale. That's not what it is. But what happens when you ask for budgets is that you put people on the defensive. You make them uncomfortable. Because what happens is everyone thinks you're going to, if the job's going to be 15,000 and they tell you their budget's 20, then you're going to say, oh, well, coincidentally, the job's going to be 20,000. And in reality, it's only 15. Like that's what every consumer believes whenever they give budgets. Because we've all heard we don't really know what our budget is. We're kind of hoping to get a price from you. That's a lie. I mean, that is a lie. Everyone has a number in their head. What I would do before I started giving my price first is if I said, Eric, what's your budget? And you're like, well, I don't really have a budget. We're trying to figure it out. And I'd be like, well, everybody has a number. I mean, if I told you it was going to be $100,000, you'd probably say no, like, oh yeah, no, there's no way. Yeah, we definitely wouldn't pay 100,000. And I'm like, yeah, so see, everybody's got a number. I mean, where are you guys wanting to be at? And then they would kind of begrudgingly say, well, we don't really want to be more than 15, which is probably not even true then. It's probably like 20, but they're holding back money because they don't want to give me the full amount. That's what people do. Not everybody, but that's what a lot of people do. So when you learn how to give this is what we say, give your price to get their price. If I tell you that the project's going to be about 18,000 and you were willing to spend 20, then we can have a conversation after that, right? Because now it's not a matter of me trying to take all your money.
Yeah. Well, what I tried to explain in the 1 minute, video is it's a tough spot to be at. And if there's enough context, if I have a conversation with someone for say 10 or 15 minutes and we're building some rapport, and I got, we maybe giggled a little bit and now we're getting, to know each other a little. At some point, like back in the past, I might say like, hey, like, what are you looking to spend on this? If you could share some context of where you want to land, I can get you the most for your money. That might have been the style I used to use, right? Let me know where you want to land and I'll make sure you get the most for your money, to give them the feeling that I'm not going to cheat them, right? And then we would work together. But, once you get good at sales and you're able to show someone a spectrum of where this project could land, then they're more inclined to do it. But if you just straight up ask for budget and you don't have any rapport building, any of that stuff, it becomes a tug of war, just like you said, because they're not going to give you a true number. You're going to think it's too low. How can I get them to go up? And they're like, hey, I'll go up, but I'm not going to tell them how far I'll go up. And now you're in this little battle, and this is not a good place to build a successful project and a good experience for your client.
Yeah, the other thing on this too, Eric, I saw comments were like, oh, I just start high and then work my way down. Like that's confirming what the consumer is assuming.
Exactly.
Don't freaking do that.
Yeah.
I mean, just give your price. If the price is 15, that's your price. Is it negotiable? No, not unless we change the scope.
Right.
Like it's not, well, it's 15, but if you pay cash, I'll do it for 14.5. Or I mean, I'm not getting into the cash thing, but I'm just using that as an example of like negotiation. Like the number you give is not a starting point. As a contractor, when you're giving your number to a customer, that should not be a starting point for negotiations. Now, the final number may change. Don't get me wrong, depending on the scope of work.
Sure.
But if I'm telling you, Eric, this job is a $20,000 job, and you're like, oh man, that's way more than what I thought. Well, we could probably do it for 16. And 16 was my number to begin with. Don't do that.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty big span. That's $9,000, right? But I mean, literally, even if it's like $3,000 or $4,000 off of that, does it just mean you started too high? And like, either I was high to begin with, and this is the number I need to be successful and profitable, or I'm just going to not be successful and profitable on this project and cut corners. And either way, it's a bad experience for either A, the prospect, or B, the contractor. And unfortunately, I feel like the contractors beating themselves up more than the bad contractors beating up prospects. But I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would say if I had to guess, just based on the comments that we got, probably 80% of the contractors screw themselves. And maybe 20% or maybe 5% screw the customer, and there's a 10% in there that actually know where they're supposed to be, or whatever that percentage is, 15%.
I think that's fair. I mean, I'd like to think that the contractors we're trying to help, they're not douchebags.
No,
they're really trying to do
all.
good stuff. They just don't know how to do it, and they take advantage of themselves by letting the clients.
We've said it before, Eric. They haven't been to contractor school. They don't go to contractor school.
Yeah.
They're craftsmen. They know how to do their craft. They don't know how to sell. They don't know how to know the numbers and all that stuff. So the budget one's tricky. And I want to clarify one thing so there's no misconception that when we talk about like the number, when we give pricing over the phone, we give ballpark prices and we use high anchors. So I may say, Eric, this bathroom that you're wanting to have done, it could be as much as $30,000 or as little as $20,000. Because I'm giving you a ballpark. I'm not giving you a hard number, right? But what a lot of contractors are doing is they're not pre-qualifying on the phone. They're going out and looking at the job, and they're giving them a number, like an actual estimate to the customer. And they're telling the customer, this is going to be $20,000. And then they're saying, well, that's too much. Can we come down? And they're like, yeah, we could probably do it for like 16. Like they're changing their actual hard estimate number. And what I'm talking about is like giving ballparks over the phone. Those are two different things, and don't get them confused.
Yeah, sure. What's the next one?
The last one actually is talk poorly about your competition.
Yeah. So many people do that. It's crazy. Think like, no one does that. Are you kidding me? But they do it all the time. It's gross.
Well, there were lots of comments that were like, well, I don't do it unless they ask me about so-and-so, and then I'll tell them they suck.
Yeah, I don't want to lie to them. Yeah, that's so funny.
I'm not going to lie to them.
Well, it's okay if they ask me to talk bad about them, then I can do it. Like, no, it doesn't make it okay, bro.
Dude, I learned the hard way because I'd go in and like say it was a shower or something that was tiled poorly or incorrectly, and they want to fix it. And I'd be like, man, whoever did this shower did a terrible job. And the customer would be like, well, I did it myself.
Ooh, foot in mouth.
Yeah, insert foot in mouth. And so what I've realized now, not now, but what I realized, learning this was that you just don't talk bad about them. Now, if they ask you a direct question like, we hired so-and-so and they came out here and they did this specific thing, is this up to code? Is what they did up to code? Right? Now, I may answer that, well, technically it's not to code, but it's not terrible either. You know what I'm saying? Like I may answer a direct question like that, but I'm not going to say, no, this ain't up to code. Those guys are a bunch of hack jobs and I don't even know why they're still in business.
This is funny. About 12 or 15 years ago, I don't know if this totally relates, but I have to tell the story. It's been at least 12 or 13 years. I would take pictures of jobs that were really not good. Like, this is exactly what you don't want to do. And I would take pictures of that, and then I would have them in my folder because we did a series called Ponds Gone Wrong on YouTube. And so I would show people like, hey, you don't want this happening in your yard, right? I wasn't calling up people's names or anything like that, but I had a contractor come in, and he was new to me. I didn't know him that well. And he was like, hey, I'm going to be installing this job. I want to know, can you help me make sure I get it done right? And I'm like, yeah. And so I was like, well, this is what you don't want it to look like. And I showed him the picture, and he actually installed the job. He's like, oh, that's the Johnson residence. I did that job. I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh, that's brutal. Was he mad after that?
That was a tough moment. No, we worked through it, but it was a rough moment. It was tough.
I've done stuff where I've taken pictures of something or a video and be like, hey, this is not the way it should be done. If you've had situations like that, give us a call, we'll fix it or whatever. But I don't call out any contractors or say anything. I may have said something like, this is what the cheap contractor gets you, to kind of make it more of a bold statement. But I definitely don't call out any contractors.
Yeah, and again, most people they just know that this. If you have a good moral compass, you don't talk poorly about other contractors to someone, But I think sometimes contractors get nervous, and in that they haven't been to contractor school, they don't know how to make themselves shine, and just without tearing down the other building, right? So they talk poorly about the other person to help them feel better about themselves because they want to get the job. And I don't think they do it intentionally. I think most part, I don't know. It's crazy to think about the way it comes.
Well,
out.
it's insecurity. It's insecurity. They're on the job. You're trying to puke all over about how great you are, and then they say something about another, or you're bad mouthing the other contractor. Yeah, this contractor sucks because he didn't do this. He didn't use the right spacers. He didn't use this type of backing material. Blah blah blah. Whenever we do it, we use all the great stuff, and we do. Like it's just out of insecurity and or it's out of ego. Right? We talked about ego suppression before. It's either out of insecurity or out of ego. Listen, guys, if there's no reason whatsoever that you should be bad-mouthing another contractor, there's no benefit to it, ever.
It actually makes you look really bad.
It does.
I mean, you might lose a job just because you talked poorly about someone else. Even though you're the better contractor, you got the best price, you're the best person to do the job for the client, they might just go, hey, this is not cool. And for that reason, I don't want to work with this person. You could lose it just because of that.
I'm sure there's people out there that are like negative Nancy's, and they love feeding off negativity and stuff. And those people may actually like the fact that you're talking bad about another contractor. And they may hire you because of that. But that's an exception. That is not the majority.
Yeah, man, every time I talk bad about the competition, I always get the job, bro. Yeah, I do want to talk about this negative Nancy thing. I think one of the reasons we're getting traction on TikTok, if I don't know if I'm giving away a secret, but you probably suck at sales. If you do this, you probably suck at sales. And it has a negative tone, and people want to see that negative stuff. Let me see what sucks at sales. I want to see what that looks like. If this thing was like, if you do this, you're probably an amazing salesperson. I don't think that they would get the traction that it would. They're like, oh, I don't want to see an amazing salesperson. I want to see what the sucky one looks like. And I think that's one of the reasons we're getting traction.
Well, we learned that, and actually in some sales training that we took, we learned about selling from pain. Use pain to attract them. So I want to know, am I a sucky salesman? I already think I'm a good salesman, so I don't need to look and see if if I'm good. I want to know if I'm sucking at it.
Well, that's you. But see, I think what's happening is you got these contractors that think they're great salesmen. And they're like, oh, I want to laugh and see what this sucky salesperson looks like. And then I talk about them and they're like, oh, wait a minute. That's me. And so one of those videos has like 1,000 shares. I mean, that's a lot. That's 1,000 contractors look at that thing and go, wait a minute, I need to share this with my sales team, or I need to share this with my wife. Is this me? Or I need to share this with, another contractor buddy of mine because he does that all the time. And so I think we're striking a chord with some people.
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of more surprised by the sheer number of people that were in agreement. We thought we were going to get tons of hate comments and backlash, but wrapping up the whole auditing your sales process. These things we talked about, those are not all of the things that you could do wrong. We could probably do 20 other topics on things that contractors do wrong on their sales process. But auditing your sales process is basically taking a look at it objectively, look at it as if you were a consumer and you were talking to yourself. Is that how you would want to buy? One thing that we get in there on some of those videos, the comments, Eric, was like, I ask them for their budget, and if they won't give them to me, I move on. Screw them. I ain't got time for them. Like, that's not a good process. You know what I mean? Like, because you could suck at sales, ask for the budget, they would have been the perfect customer that you've ever had, but because they didn't give you the budget, then you just said, screw you, and moved on. Like, that's a problem in your sales process. So when you got to look at it and audit it, you got to take a step back and look at all aspects of it.
I mean, clearly we can't help everyone. That person is not ready for help, right? The teacher will appear when the student is ready. And so that those people we can't help yet. They watch enough, and then if they make a comment and then we show back up in their feed and something else shows up, maybe it'll be a wake-up call. And I'm not in a hurry to try and help those people, Brad, because they're not ready. You can't do that, right? The people that go, oh my gosh, I do this, I need to stop. Those are the people we can help. Those are the people that we're touching. And I think that's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've actually gotten several emails, Instagram messages of people like, yeah, I do this. I'm starting out. I need help. What kind of help can you give me? And the unfortunate thing is we have tons of free resources like our podcast, our free group, the TikTok videos, all these different things that we're doing. We can't help every single person individually, right? Because we just can't do that. That's why even our paid coaching group is a group type setting, because we can help more people that way. But we try to help as much as we can. But listen to the podcast, get on our free Facebook group. There's you can ask the same question in that group that you send us privately, and if we answer it, then several hundred people can get that response. So there are thousands of people. That's what we want to do. We can't have individual conversations with John Smith who's starting out his contracting business. We want to help you. We just can't give you our personal time to every single person.
Yeah, that's why we're pushing all this other free content. So I'm going to take us home unless you have any final thoughts, Brad.
No, I do have a final thought, and that is, again, you need to look at all aspects of your sales. Have a friend or someone who's non-biased. I should say not even a friend, maybe another contractor, maybe it's us. If you go to our free group and you say, this is my sales process, what do you think about it? Eric and I and others in the group will look at it and we'll audit it for you and tell you what we think. Like, that is a way to get your sales process audited. So that's my final thought.
All right, cool. Little side note for this podcast right here. It's Thanksgiving morning, bright and early. Brad and I are getting this recorded out, so you guys will have it for Monday. And I just want to take the time to just say how thankful I am for everyone's attention and support. Really cool news that we hit the top 55. We hit the top 100 podcasts in our space. We hit number 55, up 40 spots, and it's because you guys are listening to us and giving us your attention, and that's a big deal for us. So I wanted to say thanks for all that.
Yeah, I want to also say thank you for that. Obviously, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all the support that we get. Very thankful for our community, our students and the Profit Club. Very grateful to be in this position to be able to give back.
All right, people, you know what to do. If you want to make the world a better place, share the Hammer and Grind podcast so we can help contractors create better experiences for not only their families, but for their customers. Check us out on TikTok. We're having a blast. I hope you catch us on the next download.